The night was cold and rain covered the streets. Ethan drove his black car through the city. His little daughter Lily sat in the back seat holding her small doll. Ethan was a millionaire, but his world often felt empty. He worked long hours and lived in a big house that was quiet most of the time. Only Lily's voice gave the house any life. As he drove home that night, Ethan noticed Lily staring out the window. Her eyes were wide and curious. She pointed to the side of the road and said in her small voice, "Daddy, why is she sleeping here?" Ethan slowed the car. Under the dull glow of a streetlight, he saw a young woman lying on a wooden bench near a bus stop. Rain dripped from the edge of the shelter, and her hair was damp. She wore worn clothes and looked too thin. Ethan stopped the car near the bench. Lily leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. "Daddy, we cannot leave her like this." Ethan's first thought was to keep driving. He had built strong walls around himself after years of betrayal and loss. He was careful with strangers, and he never let people into his life easily. But something in Lily's eyes made him hesitate. She was only 7, yet her words carried weight. He stepped out of the car and walked toward the woman. She stirred when she felt his presence. Her eyes opened slowly, showing exhaustion and sadness. Ethan asked, "Are you all right?" The woman tried to sit up straight. She looked embarrassed. "I am fine," she whispered, though her shivering body showed the truth. "You cannot stay here in this weather," Ethan said. "We'll be all right." "It is only for tonight," she answered quickly. Ethan looked at her more closely. There was honesty in her eyes, but also pain. Something about her reminded him of the loneliness he carried inside. Behind him, Lily's small voice called out again. "Daddy, please help her." Ethan turned back to the woman. "What is your name, Claire?" she said. "Do you have a place to stay?" he asked. She shook her head. Her hands were folded tightly on her lap, trying to hide the truth, but Ethan already knew. Without saying more, Ethan reached out his hand. "Come with us, at least for tonight. You should not be sleeping here." Claire looked unsure. She did not want to take charity, and she feared being a burden. But the sincerity in his tone and the way Lily waved at her from the car window broke her hesitation. Slowly, she took his hand. Ethan guided her to the car. Lily moved her doll aside and smiled brightly. "You can sit with me." Claire gave a small smile, the first in a long time. She sat down, and the warmth of the car wrapped around her tired body. Ethan closed the door and returned to the driver's seat. The ride was quiet at first. Rain tapped against the windows. Claire kept her eyes on her hands, not knowing what to say. Lily filled the silence. She asked questions in her innocent voice. "Do you like dolls? Do you like cookies? Do you know any stories?" Claire answered softly. And soon she was smiling at the little girl's endless curiosity. Ethan listened in silence, but he noticed something change inside the car. The air felt lighter. When they reached the mansion, Claire's eyes widened. The house was large, standing tall with glowing lights. She stepped out of the car, unsure if she belonged near a place like this. Ethan led her inside. "You can rest here tonight. Tomorrow we will see what to do next." Claire nodded, still uncertain but grateful. Lily ran to hold her hand. "You are safe now," the little girl said with a grin. Ethan watched them from behind. For the first time in a long while, he felt something stir inside his guarded heart. He did not know it yet, but bringing Claire home would change everything. Claire walked through the mansion carefully. Every step made a soft echo on the polished floors. She could not believe the size of the house. It was beautiful and clean, but it felt too empty. Ethan walked beside her, keeping a careful distance. He did not want to make her uncomfortable, but he also wanted to make sure she felt safe. Lily held Claire's hand tightly. She moved quickly from one room to another, showing her little treasures. "This is where I draw my pictures," Lily said, pointing to a small table by the window. "And this is where I read my books." Claire smiled at her energy. The girl's innocence was refreshing. Ethan stayed behind for a moment, looking at them. He remembered how quiet his life had been before Lily was born. Now he watched the little girl show her world to Claire. He realized how much happiness another person could bring, even someone he barely knew. Claire sat down at the small table and picked up a pencil. Lily grabbed some colored crayons and started drawing. They worked side by side in silence, but it was a comfortable silence. Ethan watched from the doorway, feeling an unfamiliar warmth in his chest. After a while, Ethan cleared his throat. "I will make some dinner. You want something to eat?" Claire, she shook her head softly. "I am not hungry," she said, though it was clear she had not eaten all day. Ethan did not push her. He went to the kitchen, leaving her with Lily. While Ethan cooked, Claire and Lily talked quietly. Lily asked Claire about her life and her favorite games. Claire answered carefully. She did not want to sound weak, but she also wanted to be honest. Lily listened with wide eyes, and sometimes she laughed. Claire felt something she had not felt in a long time. She felt welcome. When dinner was ready, Ethan called them. The three of them sat at the table. Ethan served food and watched them eat. He noticed Claire looked more relaxed than before. Lily chatted happily, and even Ethan joined in, smiling at the little stories Lily told about her day. After dinner, Ethan said, "It is late. You should get some rest." Claire nodded and followed him to a guest room. The room was simple, but clean and warm. Claire sat on the bed for a moment, thinking about the day. She felt strange. She had been alone for so long, and now she felt like she had a place to stay, even if it was only for a night. Lily peeked into the room. "Can I sleep here with you?" she asked. Claire smiled softly. "Of course," she said. Lily climbed onto the bed, and they arranged the blankets. Ethan stood at the door for a moment. He watched them, then quietly left the room. Before leaving, Ethan whispered to himself, "Maybe this is the start of something new." He did not know what the future would hold, but he knew one thing. For the first time in a long while, his heart felt lighter. Claire lay in bed with Lily next to her. She listened to the girl's soft breathing. Claire realized that even in the shortest time, connections could form. The warmth of trust and care was powerful. She had thought she would be invisible in the world, but now she felt seen. Lily held her hand and whispered, "Thank you for staying with us." Claire held her hand back and smiled. "I am happy to stay," she said. She closed her eyes and let herself rest, feeling a little hope for the first time in a long time. Ethan walked down the hall, thinking about the evening. He realized that bringing Claire home was more than helping someone in need. It was a chance to bring happiness back into their small family. The night was quiet, but in that quiet, the first threads of a new story were forming. A story of trust, care, and maybe something more in the days to come. The next morning, sunlight filled the mansion. Claire woke up first. She looked at Lily sleeping beside her. The girl's small hands clutched her blanket. Claire smiled softly. She felt an unusual calm. She did not know why, but being here with Ethan and Lily made her feel like she belonged. Downstairs, Ethan was making breakfast. He moved quietly, not wanting to disturb the peaceful morning. He looked out the window and thought about the night. He realized he had watched Claire carefully. She was quiet, gentle, and kind. He felt drawn to her, but he tried to hide it. He had been hurt before, and he knew he needed time to trust. Lily came running down the stairs. Her hair was messy, and her eyes shone with excitement. "Good morning, Claire," she said. "Did you sleep well?" Claire smiled at her. "Yes, I did. Thank you for letting me stay." Lily hugged her tightly. "You can stay forever if you want," she whispered. Claire laughed softly, feeling the warmth of the little girl's love. Breakfast was simple. Pancakes, eggs, and orange juice filled the table. They ate together quietly at first. Lily chatted about her day at school and the drawings she wanted to finish. Claire listened, giving small smiles and nods. Ethan watched from the other side of the table. Every small interaction made him feel closer to Claire. He noticed how Lily's eyes lit up when she spoke with her, how the laughter came easily when Claire joined in. After breakfast, Ethan suggested they go to the garden. The mansion had a large garden with colorful flowers and a small fountain. Lily ran to the fountain, dipping her fingers in the water. Claire followed her, laughing as Lily splashed water gently on her. Ethan stayed close, watching the two. He could not deny it anymore. Seeing them together made his heart feel full. They spent the morning planting flowers. Claire showed Lily how to put soil in the pots and place seeds carefully. Lily listened and followed her instructions. Ethan helped too, but mostly he observed. Quiet moments, the smiles, and the small talks were forming something strong between them. By afternoon, they were all tired but happy. Claire and Lily sat on the grass, drawing pictures in a notebook. Ethan joined them for a moment, helping Lily with a sketch. Claire noticed how kind Ethan was, not just as a father but as a man. She felt an attraction she could not explain, but she pushed it aside, unsure if she should think about it. Lily looked at them both and said softly, "You two are funny together." Claire smiled and nodded. Ethan laughed, scratching the back of his head. He realized Lily had noticed the connection he tried to hide. Later, Claire helped Ethan prepare a small dinner. They worked in silence at first, but slowly conversation came. They talked about small things, favorite books, and childhood memories. Every word shared made them feel closer. They began to understand each other without needing to speak openly about feelings. That evening, after dinner, they all sat in the living room. Lily curled up with Claire, and Ethan watched quietly. He could see the bond growing between them. His heart, once closed, was slowly opening. He felt something he had not felt for a long time. It was hope, and maybe something more. Before going to bed, Ethan stood near the doorway, looking at Claire and Lily. He whispered softly, "Maybe this is the start of a new life for all of us." Claire, unaware, smiled at Lily and held her hand gently. For the first time in years, all three of them felt that the lonely days might be ending. The mansion was no longer just a house. It was becoming a home filled with warmth, laughter, and the first threads of a bond that could change their lives forever. The next day, Claire woke up early. She looked at Lily sleeping peacefully and felt a strange happiness. She had never experienced such calm and warmth before. She realized how much she liked being around them. Lily's innocence and Ethan's quiet strength were pulling her closer without her knowing it. Upstairs, Ethan was preparing breakfast. He moved with care, wanting the morning to be smooth and calm. He noticed how Claire had changed since the night before. She smiled more easily, and she laughed softly when Lily said funny things. It was the first time in years he had seen a smile like that in someone else's eyes. His chest felt warm, and he felt something he could not name. After breakfast, Lily suggested they play in the garden again. Ethan watched them from the kitchen doorway. He saw Claire kneeling in the soil, helping Lily plant new flowers. The sunlight fell on Claire's hair, and Ethan felt a sudden pull in his chest. He quickly looked away, afraid to admit the feeling. But the bond between them was growing stronger by the hour. It felt like an invisible string was tying their hearts together. Lily laughed and ran to Claire, showing her the small flowers she had planted. Claire smiled, brushing Lily's hair back from her face. "You did a great job, Lily," she said. The little girl hugged her tightly. Ethan felt something he could not explain. Seeing them together made him realize that he had wanted this feeling for a long time. He wanted someone to care for, someone to share life with, and he was beginning to see that Claire might be that person. In the afternoon, Claire and Ethan found themselves in the library, arranging books. They worked quietly, but the silence was filled with tension neither wanted to break. Their hands brushed as they reached for the same book. Both paused. Claire looked up at Ethan, and he looked down at her. For a moment, words were not needed. Something passed between them, strong and unspoken. The invisible string pulled them closer, stronger than any logic or fear. They continued arranging the books, but both felt the moment in their hearts. Neither spoke about it, afraid to ruin the delicate balance. Later, Lily came in with a small notebook. She showed Claire her drawings and asked Ethan to look too. They both leaned over the notebook, smiling at the little sketches. The three of them laughed softly, and the moment of tension dissolved into warmth and comfort. That evening, Claire prepared dinner with Lily's help. Ethan watched from the doorway, seeing the bond form more clearly. He realized that the girl had chosen Claire without question, and that choice was powerful. It connected them all in a way he had never experienced before. Ethan felt the invisible string tighten, pulling their lives together. After dinner, they sat in the living room. Lily held Claire's hand and fell asleep quietly. Ethan looked at them and felt the first real hope in his life for a long time. He realized that the loneliness he had accepted for years could be gone. He could have a family again, and maybe something more than friendship with Claire. Ethan walked to the window, looking at the quiet garden outside. He whispered softly, "We are beginning something important." Claire, sitting nearby, smiled at Lily and held her hand tightly. She felt the connection too, strong and unbroken. The invisible string between them pulled at their hearts, stronger with every shared moment. For the first time, all three of them felt it. Life could change. Happiness could return. And the mansion, once cold and quiet, was now filled with warmth, laughter, and hope. The story of trust and care was starting, and no one could ignore the pull of the soul string that tied them together. A few days later, life in the mansion felt peaceful. Claire and Lily had settled into a small routine, and Ethan watched quietly as the bond between them grew stronger. But peace is often fragile, and challenges appeared when least expected. One afternoon, Ethan received a call from his business partner. He was tense on the phone, his expression darkening as he listened. After he hung up, Claire noticed his concern. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "It is complicated. They're questioning your presence here, saying you might be after my wealth." Claire felt a sharp pain. She had not expected this. She looked down, afraid that she had caused problems by simply being there. Ethan saw her reaction and felt a mix of frustration and guilt. He wanted to protect her and Lily, but he also had to face his responsibilities. He did not want to lose her, yet the fear of mistakes and rumors made him pull back. "I need to handle this," he said, voice firm. Claire nodded quietly, understanding that she could not stop him. Over the next few days, Ethan was distant. He worked late and avoided long conversations with Claire. She noticed the change and tried to keep herself busy with Lily and small tasks around the mansion. Lily sensed the tension too, her small face often worried. She tugged at Claire's sleeve one evening. "Why is he sad with you?" she asked softly. Claire smiled sadly at her. "Sometimes adults have problems they need to solve," she said. Claire decided she could not cause trouble for Ethan. She began to prepare to leave. She packed her small belongings quietly, avoiding questions from Lily. The little girl watched her, confused and upset. Claire knelt beside her. "I may need to go for a while," she said gently. Lily hugged her tightly. "No, please do not go," she pleaded. Claire felt a pang in her heart, but remained firm. She wanted to protect them by stepping back. Ethan noticed her quiet preparation and finally confronted her. "Claire, where are you going?" he asked, his voice low but filled with concern. She looked up, eyes full of worry and sadness. "I do not want to cause problems," she said softly. "I think it is better if I leave." Ethan felt a surge of emotion. He realized that he had been wrong to pull away. He could not let her go. Not now. Not ever. He grabbed his coat and rushed out into the rain. Claire had already left the mansion and was walking slowly along the street. Ethan ran after her, calling her name. She turned, startled, but he reached her quickly. Rain soaked them both, but neither cared. He took her hands in his and looked into her eyes. "Claire, listen to me. I do not care about what they say. You are important to me and to Lily. I cannot let you leave." Claire's eyes filled with tears. She had feared rejection, but Ethan's words washed away the doubt. Lily appeared from behind a corner, having followed them. She ran into Claire's arms. "See, you cannot go," she said. Claire hugged her tightly, smiling through her tears. Ethan stood close, holding both of them in place. The rain poured down around them, but the warmth between the three of them was stronger than any storm. That night, back in the mansion, the three sat together quietly. Lily fell asleep in Claire's arms, and Ethan watched, feeling a deep connection. He realized that the challenges only made their bond stronger. The invisible string between them tightened, pulling them together in a way that nothing could break. They were no longer three separate lives. They were a small family, and they had begun to understand the power of love, trust, and care. The next morning, Ethan woke up early. The rain had stopped, and the sun shone through the tall windows of the mansion. He could hear Lily sleeping peacefully in her room, but his thoughts were only of Claire. He knew he could not wait any longer. He had to make sure she stayed with them. Claire, meanwhile, was awake in her room, and she sat quietly on the edge of the bed, thinking about the previous day. Ethan's words echoed in her mind, but fear and doubt still lingered. She loved being with Ethan and Lily, but she was afraid of causing trouble or being a burden. She looked at the small window, sunlight touching her face, and took a deep breath. Maybe it was time to trust the connection she felt. Downstairs, Ethan was preparing breakfast again, but his mind was elsewhere. He watched the empty hallway, thinking of the moment he would find Claire. He knew she was scared and uncertain. He had to show her that she was safe and wanted. His heart beat fast with determination. After a short while, Ethan called out softly, "Claire, can we talk?" Claire walked down slowly, unsure of what to expect. Ethan took her hands gently. "I am sorry for pulling away yesterday," he said. "I was afraid, but I cannot imagine this house without you. You are important to Lily and to me. I need you to stay with us." Claire felt tears welling up. She looked into his eyes and saw sincerity. She realized that the invisible bond they shared was real and strong. The soul string she felt was not just her imagination. Lily ran up to them, her small arms wrapping around Claire's waist. "See, you cannot leave," she said with a giggle. Claire hugged her tightly, smiling. Ethan stood close, watching the two with a heart full of emotion. He knew the choice was clear. They belonged together. That afternoon, Ethan suggested a walk in the park. The three of them went outside, enjoying the fresh air. Lily skipped ahead, picking flowers and showing them to Claire. Ethan walked beside Claire, holding her hand gently. The connection between them grew with each step. Words were not necessary. Their hearts understood each other. They sat on a small bench under a tree. Ethan watched Lily run and play. Claire leaned her head on his shoulder, and Ethan wrapped an arm around her. The warmth between them was undeniable. They shared quiet smiles, feeling that their lives were slowly becoming one. On the way back home, Lily held Claire's hand tightly. Ethan noticed the small gestures of care that bonded them together. Every touch, every glance was part of the invisible string pulling them closer. He realized that love was not just in grand gestures, but in the small moments that built trust and connection. Back in the mansion, they spent the evening talking, laughing, and planning small activities for the next days. Claire read stories to Lily, and Ethan joined in with playful questions. The house was alive with sound, warmth, and care. It was no longer just a mansion. It was a home where hearts were healing and growing together. Before bed, Ethan looked at Claire and whispered softly, "I am glad you stayed." Claire smiled and held his hand. Knowing that the bond between them was unbreakable, Lily snuggled between them, asleep in content. Ethan felt the soul string stronger than ever. He knew that together they could face anything. Their lives were no longer separate. They were connected, and the invisible thread of love and trust held them together forever. The following days passed peacefully in the mansion. Claire, Ethan, and Lily settled into a rhythm. Mornings were filled with laughter, afternoons with play, and evenings with stories and small conversations. The invisible string that connected them grew stronger, binding their hearts together in a way that felt unbreakable. One morning, Lily woke up first. She ran to Claire's room and jumped onto the bed. "Good morning," she said with a bright smile. Claire hugged her tightly, feeling a deep love for the little girl. Ethan watched from the doorway, smiling. He realized that this little family was now complete. The bond they shared was more than friendship or care. It was love in its purest form. That day, they decided to have a picnic in the garden. Lily ran ahead, picking flowers and showing them proudly. Claire followed, laughing at her energy. Ethan carried a basket with food and blankets, walking slowly so he could watch them. Every glance between Claire and Ethan was full of understanding. Words were not needed. Both knew what they meant to each other and to Lily. They sat under a tree and enjoyed the small meal. Lily told stories and Claire joined with her own small jokes. Ethan laughed, feeling happiness he had not felt in years. Watching Claire and Lily together, he understood that love could be simple and strong at the same time. It did not need grand gestures. It was in these moments, shared quietly, that hearts were truly connected. After lunch, they played small games. Ethan and Claire ran after Lily as she skipped around the garden. They fell into easy laughter, their movements comfortable and natural. The invisible string between them pulled tighter, connecting their hearts more deeply. Ethan realized that he wanted this life to continue forever. He wanted Claire to stay, and he wanted to be there for Lily as a family. As the sun began to set, they returned to the mansion. Lily was tired and sleepy. She held Claire's hand as they walked inside. Ethan followed closely, holding the picnic basket. The house was quiet but warm. The moments they had shared filled it with life and care. For the first time, the mansion truly felt like a home. That evening, after dinner, they sat together in the living room. Lily fell asleep in Claire's lap, breathing softly. Ethan held them both gently, feeling the connection between them. The love, trust, and care they shared were stronger than any doubt or fear. He looked at Claire and whispered, "I am glad you are here. We belong together." Claire smiled and held his hand tightly, knowing the bond between them was unbreakable. Days turned into weeks, and their lives continued in happiness. Ethan no longer felt the emptiness he had once known. Claire found comfort and strength in their small family. Lily thrived with the love surrounding her. The invisible string that tied them together grew into something visible in every smile, every laugh, and every small act of care. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the garden, Lily spoke softly. "I knew you were meant to stay," she said. Claire and Ethan smiled at each other, understanding the truth in the words. Their journey had begun with a simple act of kindness, but it led to a bond that was unbreakable. The mansion was no longer just walls and furniture. It was a home filled with laughter, love, and the invisible threads that held their hearts together forever. Ethan, Claire, and Lily sat together, holding hands, feeling the warmth and strength of their connection. They knew that life could bring challenges, but as long as they were together, nothing could break the bond they shared. The soul string between them was no longer invisible. It was alive in every touch, every glance, and every shared moment. They were a family, complete and unshakable, ready to face the world together.